unbreakable, unstoppable, and nothing's gonna stop me. Don't play by the rules, I'll never lose, and I'm gonna take what's mine. Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co.
And I am Ricky. Today we're reviewing Quest Kids.
So, we're reviewing Quest Kids, which is an already available game that you can go ahead and buy. And then we're also covering The Big Bads of Tolk's Cave, which is an upcoming Kickstarter, where I'll have a link to that down below. So, a little bit of both. We'll talk about the base game, how that plays, and then we'll talk at the end about how what the expansion adds to the experience. But, starting off with, and I think the easiest way to teach this game is to literally just walk through a few turns. You'll get a good feel for the flow, and then we'll cover some other things that don't happen in those first few turns, which means, Ricky, do you want to take a turn?
Okay. So I can either move here, here, or here.
Okay, to any basically of the entrances. Yep.
Yes.
And actually, I don't think you can actually head here or here. Yep.
So I'm going to choose here.
Great, go ahead.
Now I reveal the card. I get 3 wisdom, which is just a card.
So Ricky over here.
And a treasure.
So let's show this card. So this card over here is going to show things that Ricky can gather. In this case, she's going to gather 3 wisdom, which are cards that are going to help her fight enemies, and a treasure, which she can go ahead and take from this bag.
I got a treasure chest. Purple treasure chest. It is 1 star, but if I am a certain person, it is 3 stars. But I'm not that person.
Also, if you're used to seeing Ricky on camera, she just got a retainer put in, which is why she has a drop of a list. Expander put in, which is why she has a drop of a list there. So from there, I'm going to go ahead and move around. Now, once a spot is open, you can move to any continued spot from there. I'm going to go to one of these green cards. Now, the green cards do have basically giving you stuff without having any issues. But the gray cards potentially are monsters, and the red cards
are higher chance of monsters, but they give you a better reward.
Yes, so I'm going to go ahead and take this card, which is going to give me +2 any combination of those 4, and I'll grab these 2 because I'd like to start setting myself up for success.
Yeah. When we first played, we thought it meant that and a treasure, so we continue playing that for the rest of the game.
That's true.
And we'll play with the expansion.
That's true. Your turn.
Okay.
Dun, 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 dun. Ooh, one of those, okay.
Goodbye.
So Ricky's gathering a card there. Okay.
I have 2 magic and a treasure.
Another treasure for you. Go ahead.
Here.
And here's a treasure. I'll go ahead and I'm actually going to head to this one over here and let's see what happens over here.
Oh, yeah, I got a green.
Ooh, nice.
I got a 4 stars for me.
I'm going to flip this one over and I have +3 any combination. I will load up on one of these, and then I'd like to gather a treasure. If you can pass me the treasure pile. And your turn.
My turn? Okay, I think I want to go
Ooh,
red.
Perfect. Got a thing for me, my guy. A red card already? You're a little ambitious.
I just want to see how it plays
fair.
out. Ooh, I got double tooth. I need 2 magic and 2 wisdom. I have 2 magic, but I don't have 2 wisdom.
Let's show her the monster. Let's show people the monsters over here. Also worth noting, technically we couldn't have gone there. This is where the door is, but we can get into that.
Really?
Yes, the door is over here, but again, small details.
Whatever.
In this case, we have a monster. The monster requires 2 purples and 2 yellows, and will reward Ricky 4 stars or 4 points at the end of the game. The problem is, as you mentioned, is you have what?
I only have half the materials I need.
You have what? 2 yellows?
Yeah.
Oh, and I don't have the purples necessary, which means we can't help you, which means...
Okay, well, let's pretend...
No, this is good. We can show everyone everything. So, right now, you're going to go ahead and lose one of your health cards, which means you're going to lose effectively 2 points, and your turn is lost. Unfortunate as it may be.
I still keep these.
You still do, yes. Now, on my turn, I'll go ahead and I'll gather some of these cards over here. And then I gather 2 power. 2 power. Okay.
Helpful.
Now, Ricky, this is helpful because do you want to attack the monster again? Because then we can show everyone how all these things
Okay,
work.
now let's pretend. Okay, now I again only have 2 yellows, but Abba, however, has 2 purples.
So if you're sitting there wondering, well, nothing's changed since last turn, something has changed, I've gotten 2 purples, and you're allowed to contribute your cards to help other players, and in return, you're going to get these kind kids cards over here that are rewards for having helped the other players. So when other players go ahead and encounter monsters, you have a choice starting from clockwise around. Players can contribute cards one at a time, trying to add cards to the totals to help them, and you get rewards along the way. So for example,
I killed a monster.
I'm going to get those 2 purples right back if I wanted them, as well as getting an extra turn by having these kind kid cards. So I'll go ahead and in fact I think I will go ahead and I'm going to trade this kind kid card in and gather a purple and a red. Let's go ahead and grab. Let's go yellow because I'm paying attention to the fact that Ricky has reds, so I know she can help me if she wants to.
Yeah,
generally, the game does incentivize you to help each other because the kind kid cards rewards are often worth the fact that you're gonna give up some cards, but you'll get better rewards for it.
Like knowing what something is.
Yep, and that's basically the game. You're gonna go round and around and around, continuing that action. The few other aspects we didn't really touch upon is a few of these cards are going to potentially give you these gems over here, which are fun little giant gems. Well, fun gems over there. We don't have to heavily hunt for them. Additionally, you'll have quest cards. These quest cards that you have, which as you gather quest cards in, you can take new quest cards. They'll give you specific things. So this quest card over here is have 3 purples in hand, and then I'll cash it in and get 2 points, putting it in my point pile. So as the game progresses, you're going to be gathering these other things as you go. But effectively, the sequence of play is move your character, gather various items to help you defeat monsters, potentially trade goods in to gather gems if you gather a gem card, cash in quests along the way, gather items and treasure from this bag over here, rinse and repeat until the dungeon is cleared, add up your points, and see who won the game. And that is the Quest Kids. Which means the expansion.
Big Bad of Tolk's Cave.
The Big Bad of Tolk's Caves add a few things to the game. The first thing it adds is it adds another playable character. You see only 2. You see only 2 of the characters on the board right now. There are 4 characters in the base game.
There's a female purple Viking, and there is a yellow sorcerer.
Yeah, and those characters over there, it's worth noting, depending on the version of the game you get, you're either getting standees or miniatures, so let's factor that in. But you're going to add a new character to the expansion over here, as well as adding a few other aspects. So first of all, we now have magic items that you have over here. These are various items you can gather in the course of the game, whether armor or items or weapons or potions, things like that. You can only have 1 of each type as you go through it, but you're going to go ahead and use those to accomplish your goals. So you'll have different armor, like you have this over here, the golden goggles. Redraw a treasure once per turn. That can really help you because some of the treasures are curses, other treasures are neutral, meaning they're good for all players, and other treasures are better specifically if it's your character. So that can be helpful there. We have the crystal crossbow. Once doing one of these dice doing an action dice gets to re-roll. Now that actually affects something we haven't talked about, which is one of the other things the expansion adds, which is these dice over here. Characters are going to get their own specific character cards over here. So for example, we have
these.
Yep, we have these ones over here, these 2 cards. We have specific dice you'll be able to utilize in order to engage with the various quests that the card's going to give you, because they're also going to give you events. Some of the cards you're going to have, you're going to replace the entire stack of dungeon cards over here. You're going to replace them with its own separate stack, which is going to have its own monsters, its own goods, its own things that you'll be going through, as well as adding events to the mix. And those events are going to correspond to, well, some of these cards over here. We'll draw an event, and all the players will take a turn going through that event, going through the sequence over there, trying to accomplish the event, trying to gather that. You'll draw another event for each character, and everyone will have a turn to engage with that event.
Like this one, lunchtime. The Quest Kids are hungry. Noah loves to cook, but his food always tastes like old boots. He's currently stirring a pot of what he calls surprise stew. Try to help save Noah's stew, or quietly sneak away and find lunch elsewhere. We did find lunch elsewhere.
So you have a choice to engage with as far as these event cards, and the choice will involve different outcomes on these dice that you need, and you'll have all that listed on these cards over here that you have.
If we win this.
Yep.
If we win this, we get +1 item. If we lose this, we have to discard
one of those.
One of the cards of those, and to a big bad tile.
Which is the last thing the expansion adds, which it adds a final boss you'll have to fight. So the final thing that the expansion adds is bosses. We only have 1 here in the prototype. It's worth noting all the expansion content you see here is a prototype, rules, components, all that stuff subject to change. But you're going to have a boss that you're fighting against that's going to be playing these cards that, again, you have to engage with in a similar way to the events, engaging with the various sides of the boss to either take out its health or it taking out your health. And then you'll take turns as well after it engages with its own attacks. You're going to take turns with your own cards you're going to be dealing over here. These attack cards where players can team up and work together to try to achieve one of the sides of the attack. Sometimes you'll have solo attacks, sometimes you'll have team-ups of 3 or 4 or 5 players working together to achieve a specific goal. And that's what the expansion adds to the game, which means it's a good time to dive into the review part of things, starting off with yourself. What do you have? What do you like about the game?
Let's commit to the base game and the expansion separately.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so let's start with the base game. For the base game, I love the simplicity of it.
Okay.
That you can help people. Because sometimes in games, regular games, I really want to help someone, but the rules say, no, you cannot. No, you cannot give it to them. So I love that this one actually welcomes that.
Yeah, I do agree with you.
I also like the little side quests. and the hilarious monsters. The art's adorable, and the whole thing is hilarious.
Yeah, the art is very whimsical and appealing. I agree with Ricky strongly on the Kind Kids cards. The Kind Kids cards, they're kind of a pro and a con. They heavily remove any form of strong competitive play. If you're looking for a cutthroat, best player wins dungeon crawling experience for kids, this is not that. This is a game that rewards...
It gives it them, because you're like, I'd rather not help you and get a reward.
Yeah, this game rewards you strongly for helping other players by giving you those Kind Kid cards, which means most of the time, if somebody has the cards to give you, you're going to find that you're going to end up getting those cards. So you're not going to really be left out actually losing health to monsters unless you make the mistake of wandering into those fights when players don't have that resource. So for instance, if you're playing a game and no one really has red, you might just have to take a hit. But when you do have red, more often than not, you're going to have the other players giving up their cards to help you because they get more back in return. Those Kind Kids will help them. Sometimes they'll even go for quests and things like that. So this is a kind, friendly, interactive dungeon crawler where it's more about the exploration than any strong sense of, well, you're going to lose and you're going to die. Yeah, past that, the art is engaging, the game is simple, the art is whimsical, not engaging necessarily. The art's whimsical in terms of what it's doing over here, the monsters are whimsical, the game is simple and accessible. That's the base game aspect of what we like. As far as what we don't like with the base game?
It's really hard to tell where the doorways are.
Yeah, that's true.
So most of the time I accidentally take a card that I'm not allowed to take, which is really annoying. Just kind of wish that the doors were more visible, like could pop off of a board with a standee.
Yeah, the doorways are definitely hidden on the board. It's not a huge issue in the game because, when if we were playing this in person and Ricky had just gone there, we would have just said, who really cares? The only reason I called it out is for those of you eagle-eyed people who realize we did it wrong, so I called it out that we are doing it wrong there. But, yeah, we just keep going through the doors, and if we mess it up, we continue. But the doors are definitely highly hidden on the board. Anything else you don't like?
There's not enough quest cards. One time I only completed 4 or 5 quests and we were already out.
That is true as well.
There isn't enough quest kids, and the amount of Kind Kids that you get on a normal basis. There's a lot of the same Kind Kids.
Yeah.
And they'll be gone very fast.
Yeah, you could go through those piles fairly quickly. The Kind Kids, you can always shuffle up some of them. Some of them are going to be points, which go into your point pile, which makes it a little harder. Others you could shuffle up and keep reusing. But yeah, we do find that the Quest Kids and the Kind Kid cards, we tend to go through those piles fairly recently as we go through the game. For me, what I falls into the don't like category is going to be ultimately this is a very, very simple game. This is not a lot going on. Kids love it. My kids enjoy this a lot. We'll talk about this more in final thoughts. But it just there's not a lot of depth to the experience. You move your character, you do a thing. You move your character, you do a thing. If you face up the challenge, other players help you out. This is just it's a game that's engaging for them while not being engaging for myself. So I appreciate the fact that they like it, and I'll play it because they like to play it, but it's one that's just way too simple for what I'm personally looking for, although again, I'm an adult and this is a ages 5+ game, so take that into account.
Yeah.
As far as the expansion, let's talk about what we like and don't like about the expansion.
Many things I like about the expansion. I like how it adds another player. I like how it adds harder bad guys.
Yep.
I like how it adds the bosses,
Yep.
the events.
Ooh, I don't like the events. You could like the events. You're
It's
allowed
kind of
to.
sad. I'll go to it later, but there's something I really want to say.
So for me, while you think about that...
Oh, right. I remember. I'll talk about things I don't like.
Yeah, for me, in terms of the expansion, I like most of the things the expansion has. Other character, the bosses, the items. The items in particular I like. Having more items, those are always fun. The one thing I really did not like with the expansion is the event cards. I find that the way the event cards, you kind of pause the whole game state and have everyone take a turn to resolve an event. I found that, first of all, it kind of a little bit takes away from the own player's turn to resolve the event. And more importantly, I found it slowed down a game whose one of its greatest strengths was how fast-paced it moved. You move, you do a thing, you move, you do a thing, and suddenly we turn over a card, and it's an event card, and the whole entire game slows down. My kids did enjoy it to some extent, going through the events, reading the text.
Like the lunchtime one.
Resolving it. But yeah, I found the events added, not depth, but it added unnecessary complexity without adding depth to the experience, so that would be the one thing that I'd kind of want to play without, but the rest of the expansion stuff worked well for us. Anything else as far as what you don't like? Because you mentioned you had something you want to say?
Yeah, during the solo bosses, you can't borrow dice as you could normally.
Yeah, when you're resolving events, you can also borrow dice from other players. Same idea.
Sad because there was one thing: let the monster about to eat you and then smack it in the muzzle. And I really wanted to do that, but I didn't have the dice, and I wasn't allowed to borrow dice, so I couldn't do the really funny one.
Yeah, and that's the Quest Kids Big Bads of Tolk's Cave expansion, which means it's time for final thoughts, general overviewing of everything we talked about till now. Do you have any particular final thoughts, or should I just go into it? You always have fun with this part.
You can go first while I think about it.
Sure. Final thoughts on this is Quest Kids is a game, and the Quest Kids and the expansion. Past the event cards was a separate thing. Quest Kids and the expansion is a game that, speaking practically, is not for me personally, but it does work well for kids, meaning all 3 of my kids really enjoyed this game. While the gameplay is too simple for my own personal preference, they all had fun with it. They've all asked to play with it. They're all thrilled when I told them I had the expansion that we can dive into there. They like the simplicity, the art, the fun. They like giving each other cards. They like helping each other. One of my kids likes holding back cards cruelly sometimes, but the rest of them are all very nice and kind to each other, earning those kind kids cards. They enjoy it, with the caveat that, again, it's not for me. This falls in the category of games that, speaking for myself, I play it with my kids because I like playing games with my kids. I don't play this one because I enjoy it personally. That's where I am on both the base game and the expansion. The expansion doesn't really change that. It adds more content. It adds more stuff. I like the item cards, but the expansion doesn't heavily change my opinion of the game. So that's where I am with this one.
Yeah, I definitely agree about it's more of a child game. And adults would probably be more of a chaperone to make sure none of the kids break the rules, and less of a player.
Yeah. Oh, I should have given this to Tavi. He had a friend over. He wanted to play a game today. I should have given him this one.
Oh, yeah.
That would have worked. But that's basically Quest Kids. The last thing I'll cover before we go, well, 2 more things we'll cover. First of all, something that Ricky does not know exists.
What?
Ricky did not know this exists. This is the Trials of Tolk the Wise, because we haven't dove into this yet. This is a campaign-based expansion.
Who's
a story-driven campaign. Tolk the Wise. This is the Tolk's Cave.
Who's Tolk?
I don't know who Tolk is. Tolk is somebody in this game. Somebody.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying that they don't tell us who Tolk is.
But this is a story-driven campaign expansion that will let you go through the experience. We haven't opened this up yet. There's envelopes and things you can unlock and all that.
Envelopes! Campaign guidebook, new quest dungeon titles, ally cards, 8 hero cards. Don't know what that is.
Yep. More content for the game, basically. I just wanted to talk about it briefly. Again, we haven't played it, so I can't review it, but it is something you can also get for this game. And then lastly, in terms of game recommendations, if you like this game, or if you're interested in things like this, the 2 games I'd recommend are, first of all, I'm going to recommend Catacombs of Karak, another dungeon-crawling kids game. And then, Ricky, what's the other dungeon-crawling kids game you
Cora Quest!
Cora Quest as well. Yeah, those
I
are
say it that way.
those are the 3 dungeon-crawling kids experiences that we've really dived into. I'm sure there are others, but those are the ones we've been diving into recently as a family. Basically, that's everything. We have a link down below to the Kickstarter if you want to check that out. Until next time, I'm Alex.
Hi, Ricky.
And have a good one.